Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings YouTube channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Nick Miller, and today we are talking all about capturing reception audio. So today we are continuing our Getting Started series over in our Facebook group. If you're not a part of it, click on this link up here, or you can go to howtofilmweddings.com/community. We are seeing lots of questions over and over again from people that are just getting started in the wedding filmmaking industry, and we want to help them. And a question I see a lot is plugging into a mixing board for a DJ or a band, or how do I do that? What recorders should I use? Is putting a microphone or putting a little recorder on the mic stand enough? What do I need to do? So today I am covering all of the things that I am thinking about when it comes to hooking up your audio equipment and how to capture the best sound at a reception. So before I take a deep dive into plugging in your recorders and all of that kind of stuff, I want to point out a couple of things. First off, communication is key. You need to be communicating with your DJ, with the band, with whoever is doing the audio. If it's at a church, at a sound system, something like that, you need to be reaching out and asking them if it's possible for you to get a line out, how do you do it, what connections they need, that sort of thing, and just communicate with them ahead of time. The thing that we prefer, a lot of DJs don't like it, or they don't understand it, or something like that, so I like to reach out ahead of time and say, in a perfect world, this is what I would like to do. Communication is key, and it will only help you, not hurt you. A big thing right now in the wedding video world is 32-bit float. If you don't know what 32-bit float is, it is basically kind of raw recorded audio, where if the volume is way too low or way too high, you can pull it down or bring it back up. And a lot of people have the misconception that 32-bit float is going to solve all of their audio problems. Here's something that you need to know about 32-bit float. If the audio in is bad, it's really noisy, or it's blown out or something like that, then you are not going to be able to fix it just because it is 32-bit float. So while 32-bit float is great, it is not going to be the solution to all of your problems. The last thing that I want to touch base on is you need to be providing all of your own cables to plug into any sound mixers or sound boards. If you're not sure what cables that you need, make sure you check out this video up here, and I have a breakdown and a description of everything that you'll need for a wedding day to capture great audio. Okay, real quick, I want to talk to you about the flow of audio, or the chain of audio. I don't know exactly what I'm calling it here, but first you're going to have the microphone. And let's say we're using a wireless mic. So then that wireless transmission will come over here, and then it will go to the DJ board or the soundboard. It goes from the receiver to the soundboard. Then the soundboard, it goes out through the cables and into the speaker. So we have wireless microphone, wireless waves to the receiver, which then goes into the DJ board, through the cables and stuff, and out of the speaker. Now, whenever you are capturing this audio, you want to get as close to the source as possible. So you want to get as close to the microphone as you can, because this is going to avoid polluting your microphone. Every step in this that you take, every one removed from the actual microphone itself, it can potentially cause problems for you and add pollution. It can add noise. You'll be at the mercy of whatever the DJ or band does to your microphone, or it can just get blown out because the speaker is way too hot. So you want to try and get as close to the microphone as you can. Is this information helpful? If it is, hit that thumbs up button. The first place that I want to plug into is going to be the wireless receiver for the microphone itself. Okay, the cables that you are going to need for this are probably going to be 1/4 inch, but in some cases you are going to need an XLR. Here is an image of the back of a wireless microphone receiver. In most cases, the DJ is going to be using the XLR output, and you can use the 1/4 inch output that is right next to it. A couple of things that I want you to know about plugging into the sound system this way. Number one, it is not going to mess up anything. I have talked to DJs before that say, this is how I want to plug in, and they get really nervous like I'm going to somehow mess up their sound. Plugging into a system this way is not going to mess up anything. It only gives you the best possible sound that you can get. Why does it give you the best sound that you can? Because this is going straight from the mic to the receiver and then to your recorder. There is no pollution that is happening with this because it is not going anywhere else first. One downside to plugging in this way is that it will only capture the audio that is going directly into the microphone. If you're accustomed to getting all of the music and for like first dances and that kind of stuff, that will not be recorded through this microphone receiver, just so you're aware. I wanted to give you an example of a toast where I plugged into the wireless mic receiver and got the audio from that, so let's check out that clip.
For those of you who don't know me, that's your loss.
A few, I don't know if I want to say downsides, but things that you really need to be aware of whenever plugging in this way. One, it can be a pain for you to get access to the receiver with the DJ board or the band board. Some people have like rigs and everything's all set up, so it's not as easy to plug into that. That is why you should be communicating with the DJ or the band before the wedding, asking them if it's possible for you to plug your recorder in this way. Make sure that you are also plugging into the right receiver. If a DJ has two wireless microphones, that means it's going to need two receivers, or they make some receivers that actually can accommodate two microphones. Make sure that you are plugging into the correct microphone. I have heard of people that hooked their sound up this way, but it was on the DJ's mic, not the toasting mic. So make sure that you test everything before the toast gets started. As I mentioned before, a downside of this is that all you are getting is what is spoken into the microphone, so you need to be aware of that. Another thing you need to be aware of is that not all DJs have this type of setup. That is why you need to know how to plug into a mixing board. If you are going to plug into a mixing board, be prepared with an XLR, 1/4 inch, or an auxiliary cables. One of the nice things about plugging into a board this way is most DJs or bands are going to be able to tell you and point you in the direction of where you can plug in, what cables you're going to need, or any of that. So that is usually pretty helpful. However, if you come across a situation where the DJ doesn't know what's going on, or maybe it's a church system and it's just some guy that pushes a button to turn everything on, or it's someone that has no clue what is going on, they just know how to turn the system on, you need to know what you are looking for. I want to throw up on screen now an example of a mixing board. Now this is actually a very common mixing board that a lot of DJs, whenever they're first getting started, this is the type of board they have. The number one thing that you want to look for when it comes into plugging into a mixing board is line out, mix out, headphone out, something somewhere where it says the word out. And what that means is audio is coming into the board and it's coming out through these signals. And when it goes out, then it can go into your recorder. I have made the mistake before of plugging my recorder into something that was an input, and so I got nothing in my audio recording. Now on this board, we actually, on the top of it, on the front of it, we have 3 different places where you can plug in to get audio out. On the top, we have the auxiliary left-right tape out. You can take your auxiliary cables and plug those in there. The next one is we have a balanced or unbalanced 1/4 inch out right next to it. And then last, we have the headphone 1/4 inch out where you can plug in there as well. On the back of the mixing board, we have the left and right XLR outputs. Most likely the DJ is going to be using these for their speaker, so I wouldn't count on using those for this type of board. We also have the control room and the alt outputs. Both of those are 1/4 inch. You could use either of those. If I walked up to this board and the DJ, or was it a church, they had absolutely no clue where I would plug in, but they say, yeah, go for it, I would go with the main out. This is going to give me everything that is coming into the board and coming out into my recorder. So plug into the main out in this example. A few things that you need to know about plugging into a mixer or a soundboard. One, this is one step removed from the microphone, okay? Because we're going from the microphone to the receiver, okay? That would be the first. And now we're going into the DJ board. So whenever we come out of the DJ board, now we are potentially polluting our audio. It can happen, it doesn't always happen. I know that as I have plugged into DJ boards, I've gotten stuff like reverb that the DJ put on, the people speaking. I have gotten music that for some reason was playing in the board but wasn't coming out through the music, but somehow I recorded that. So whenever you plug into the mixer, you you are at the DJ or the band's mercy just a little bit. You need to understand and know that going in. A plus side to doing this is it should give you everything that is coming out of the speaker. Is this information helpful? Let us know in the comments below. I always do backups at my wedding, and for this one I plugged a backup into the DJ board because that was the easiest for this setup at this wedding. And I noticed when I listened back, there was a tiny amount of reverb that the DJ had put on the speaker. And so let's take a listen to this audio and see if you can hear that reverb.
For those of you who don't know me, that's your loss.
Now, is this audio usable? Yes, it is, but I would probably do something to try and get rid of that reverb because I don't really like it. Again, whenever you remove each step that you take away from the microphone, you could potentially pollute your audio just a little bit. Last, I want to talk to you about plugging in directly to the back of the speaker. The cable that you are going to need is probably going to be an XLR. I've seen some that use a 1/4 inch, but not many. XLR is going to be what you are going to want to use. I also would highly recommend picking up an attenuator. The best thing about the back of the speaker is this is probably the easiest way to record sound at a reception. All you do is you take your cable, you plug it in, and you turn on your recorder. It's really simple. The downside of plugging into the back of the receiver is that it is the farthest removed from the microphone. So again, it goes microphone to receiver into the DJ board, then it goes into the speaker and then out of the speaker. So it is the farthest removed, so there is a lot that can happen. Not only are you at the mercy of what the DJ does to the sound, to the audio, you are also now stuck with a line audio input from the back of the receiver. All that means it is a really hot signal. And if you don't have the proper equipment, you can easily peak your audio. As I'm talking about this stuff, if you have questions about what type of audio gear you need, make sure you check out the description below. Now, this isn't real. I want to say that. This is a bit of a dramatization, but I have recorded audio at a reception before where it sounded like this.
For those of you who don't know me, that's your loss.
Peaked, really blown out, and sounded awful because my recorder only did mic line, it did not do line. And again, a line audio is really hot, so you really need to pick up an attenuator. Again, this is a dramatization, but it is something that can happen if you're not prepared. So the last thing I want to talk about whenever it comes to recording audio at a reception is a backup. I've been saying this entire time that you need to get your audio source as close to the mic as possible. I don't know, a few years ago, I started attaching a DR10L to the mic stand that I bring with me to every single wedding. Now, you would think that this would produce incredible audio because it is so close to the mouth. Yes, it is really close to the mouth, but there are a few downsides. Number one, it is most likely going to pick up some reverb from the speakers of the room. It is going to capture all of that noise. It is going to capture all of that sound. It is going to capture any ambient noise really loud. A lot of times it's louder in that little lapel mic that I have on the mic stand than it would be on the microphone itself. It's been floating around for a while in the wedding video groups and stuff that you should get a little Sony recorder or something like that and just stick it on the microphone and then capture audio that way. I think that that is a great backup. Anything that you can put on the microphone to capture that audio is a great backup. But I want to stress, it is just a backup. Whenever you use that audio, it is going to have that extra pollution in your audio that you may or may not want in the final product. I want to cut back to this little toast clip that I have shown you throughout this video and have you listen to what the on mic stand audio sounds like. Check this out.
For those of you who don't know me, that's your loss.
Now, if everything hit the fan and my recorder died and the speakers were going nuts, I don't know, and I had to use that audio, could I use that from the mic stand? Yes. But you heard how noisy it was. You heard all of the noise pollution that was in it, and that is why it is a backup. It can save your bacon if everything else goes wrong, but it shouldn't be your A1 go-to audio source for your receptions. Last, I want to talk to you about my process for hooking up my audio recorders at a reception. First off, I have reached out to the DJ or the band and talked to them about how I like to record audio. So if everything is good and everything's okay, I am plugging my Zoom F6 into the receiver of the wireless microphone. I am then taking my DR10X with an attenuator and plugging into the back of the speaker. And lastly, I am putting my DR10L on my mic stand so that I can capture the audio that way. Every single reception, I am recording 3 sources of audio because if you've been in this industry for any amount of time, you know that if anything can go wrong with audio, it will go wrong with audio. So always, always, always have a backup. If you're just getting started into wedding filmmaking and you'd like to watch more videos on tips and tricks that we would like to share with you, click on this playlist up here. Also, don't forget about our complete wedding videography course. You can click on that right here. Go to that website, be put on our waitlist, and as soon as we launch that course, you will be notified. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, we will see ya.